Okay, here we are. Sorry about that. All right, still a bit loud. Okay, there we go. Yeah, hello everyone. Here I was thinking that I was all set up, and then I realised just as I hit the button to actually switch the camera that I had forgotten to plug in my microphone. Forgotten to put it on at all. But it looks like we've got Dark Frosty, Marcus, Veggie, whatever your name is, Albert, Jack the Railway Enthusiast, Vandenbricks, Pat Robertson, and Bulletproof Designs. Hello everyone. And Dark Frosty, I don't think you intended this, but you have unintentionally, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've unintentionally given everyone a, what do you call it, a pun. You've said, let's go, obviously let's go, but the person in the thumbnail was Les, so there you go. Yeah, so tonight, we all know what we're here for. It's the second of my showing my railway hike photos. Tonight's going to be South Gippsland, as I said last week, or last fortnight. And yeah, we've got a little under 2,000 photos to go through. I mean, we're not going to be going through all of them in ultra detail. I've already marked out a few of them as 1 star, just duplicates of burst photos type thing. So we won't need to be reviewing them in detail, but yeah, still, there's quite a few photos. I mean, the hike itself was 2 weeks, roughly, and yeah, so I took quite a few photos. I think what we should start with is, if I can go over here, load up my railway map. Give me a moment. Link as always to the map is in the description. Let me scroll over. It's a bit sluggish because I'm streaming at the same time. All right, let's switch over to screen sharing. All right, let's move that map over a tad like that. All right, cool, you can see. So this is the South Gippsland line right here. We followed the main one all the way from Cranbourne, which is here, all along this orange line, which is, it had track remaining all of the way to Leongatha right here, although now track only goes as far as Nyora, because Nyora to Leongatha is in the process of being converted to a rail trail. So I know my map is slightly incorrect. I will update that to rail trail once it is finished. So yeah, and then this blue line to Welshpool, and then this other little blue section from Alberton. I think it's Alberton. Yeah, Alberton to Yarram. Now the line did go along these red parts to Woodside and between Welshpool and Alberton, but the track is ripped up there. I did attempt to walk between Welshpool and Alberton, but I think I got maybe 2 kilometres, maybe 1 to 2 kilometres down the road, and then found out that, look, I could have done a bit of bush bashing, but at that point I would have been on my own, and if I got bitten by a snake or something like that, there would have been no way that I could call for help. So that wasn't a good situation, obviously. So I turned back, I gave Les a call and that I was coming back to Welshpool with him because he was just going to go on the bus to Alberton, and said, okay, well, all the way to Yarram he went. I said, look, I'll come on the bus with you, I'll get off at Alberton and I'm going to walk the last section, which is officially a rail trail from Alberton to Yarram. All of these side branch lines, like the Strzelecki line, the, what do you call it, Montague line, you got the, is this Outram? Yeah. The Outram line and Currumborough South Coal Creek. You've also got down here, which is Barry Beach, and then Port Welshpool and Port Albert. So all those branch lines are cool and all. I have checked out a little bit of Port Welshpool, and I think I've been to the town of Port Albert, but I haven't really searched for any rail remnants. I've been to the terminus at Woodside, couldn't find anything. Otherwise, that just all goes through farmland and stuff. So, yeah, haven't really explored any of that. I have been to the terminus. Which terminus? Good question. I think this one. Yeah, Kirrak. I've been to the Kirac terminus. I haven't been to any other parts, so apart from just like seeing it from the car, just driving in that area. So that gives you a bit of an idea. Cranbourne to Yarram, including this red section here, is 150 kilometres. But actually now I'm second guessing myself whether it was 150 or 170. I can't remember, but we didn't walk this 21 kilometre section. And also let's see, where did I ditch? I can't quite remember. Oh no, it was here. I ditched everyone somewhere along here. I think around. No, it wouldn't be. Somewhere along here. I'm not sure exactly where, but it was out of Lang Lang and before this, which is the old AGM glass, Australian glass manufacturers siding. Oh, God. So I haven't been to see that, which I really should get to. And I walked to a road and tried to get a taxi into town, into Nyora, and long story short, the taxi never came. And so some locals offered to drive myself and James there. So that was very nice of them. So I didn't walk, let's just say I ditched around there. Let's just get a rough estimate of what I didn't walk. Say 10 kilometres, 10-ish kilometres that I didn't walk. And then I added in this part, which is another 6 Ks that Les didn't walk. So call it 150 Ks all up, because that's what it roughly was. And yeah, so it took us 15 days, including the return. The 15th day was the return, and like we got a bus from Yarram to all the way back to Southern Cross, I think. Or maybe we didn't get that far. I'm not sure, but so the return day, and it also includes a couple of days where we had scheduled in doing nothing, a rest day, which is always important when you're planning a hike. So our rest days were, so we started at Cranbourne, we walked, and then I think our first set of rest days, were at Curramborough. We had a couple of days in Curramborough to rest, and then Cameron and James and Max all ditched Les and I at Nyora. But Les and I continued to Curramborough, had a couple of days break, walked through to the town of Foster, which is here. Had a couple of days rest in Foster, and then continued to finish off the journey. So I'll have a look at some comments before continuing on. At least it started on time, says Albert. The stream, yep, indeed. What towns are along the section to Woodside? From Yarram to Woodside, I mean, even Woodside, to call it a town is a bit of a stretch, because I mean, you look at Woodside itself has got, it's got a couple of streets. You can count it as a town. It's got a caravan park, a petrol station. Yeah, all right, that's a town. if we switch to satellite view, it's a small town, but it's a town. And then you can see it's pretty much just paddocks. Goes through this bushland area. White Woman's Waterhole campsite. Never been there. Is this a town at all? Yeah, there's a few random collection of houses. So one wrong. Is that it? Or is that just the name of the reserve? No, it's the name of the area as well. One Run. So that's a town, if you like. And then Devon North. Looks like there's a few collection of houses. You can see the line. This section, the line all the way to Yarram. Yeah, so, okay. In terms of what parts closed when, let's go back to, in terms of what sections closed when, Yarram to Woodside closed in, I think, 1956. Somewhere around then, it was definitely the 50s. Yarram held on until maybe 1985, something like that. Might have been 84, might have been 86. It might have been a little bit longer. It held on until sort of the mid-80s, definitely. Actually did it. I'm not entirely sure about that, actually. Yarram still had passenger services as late as the 70s, I know that. And fun fact, it was the last place in Victoria where you could catch what's called a mixed train. So it was a normal goods train, except it also had a passenger carriage on it. And so mixed trains were known for being very slow moving because they often stopped in every little town. But hey, it was a passenger service, and it was sort of like the railway's El Cheapo solution. It was like, this place really doesn't deserve passenger service, but hey, we're running a goods train out there anyway, so might as well just whack a passenger carriage on the end. But I know definitely the line to Barry Beach, which is here, that definitely stayed in use until the mid-80s, because there was oil there. That was its primary traffic in the later years. Yarram the line may have held on to Yarram during the Barry Beach era, or it might have closed. I can't quite remember. And then the whole line shut as far as the glass sidings here in just before Nyora. And then in the early 90s, the line to Leongatha was reinstated. And it was used for passenger services. At that point, the line beyond Leongatha was ripped up, and there's some footage, if you search for it, of the rails. Of the very, very last train on the line was a rail removal train. So, yeah, it was pulling up the tracks as it went, as far as Leongatha. So Leongatha got maintained passenger services they got reinstated in the early 90s, and they stayed until the late 90s, I think 1998 from memory. And yeah, that's the last train from Leongatha was well documented. And then the glass siding was still being used up until the late 90s for sure, possibly into the early 2000s. The tourist railway started up between Nyora and Leongatha as soon as the line closed to passenger services. And then by certainly the early to mid 2000s, the glass siding was mothballed. And so the line from Cranbourne to Nyora was booked out of use and remains in such a state today. So, looking at some comments. Party poopers, don't know who you're referring to there. Stephen says, "G'day Floyd, sorry I'm late." No worries. And hello Emma. Roderick Smith says, "Wanron was a station on the line. Yarram, Devon, Kelrossie, Wanron, Napier, Woodside." There you go. How am I coping this lockdown? Oh, look, it's fatiguing, but I've got uni to keep me busy, and while it sucks that I can't really go out and do anything on the weekend, you just got to get through it. Yeah, I'm alright. Roderick Smith says, "There was a fan trip to Welshpool at a time when Yarram was unavailable." Okay. The Leongatha passenger service was reinstated in 1984. Alright. I was a passenger on the inaugural train. Vanderbrick says, "Thoughts on the current Commons withdrawals?" I mean, it's been a long time coming. We all knew it was going to happen. Fine. I mean, the HCMTs will replace them, and think what you like about the HCMTs, but they're here to stay. Oh, the guys, what do you call it? Hemi is suggesting he was referring that Jack was referring to the people. Yeah, and Jack has confirmed he was referring to Max, Dylan and James as party poopers for ditching you and Les at Nyora. Yeah, they all had, because we did this trip at the end of year 12, this was our schoolies trip, so they all had various school commitments just to wrap up the year, so they all had to go. But yeah, they all wished that they could have stayed on, and Cameron has moved interstate now, so he's unlikely to come on a future hike. Although if he ever was in Victoria at the time, he'd be more than welcome to join. I believe he's actually been inspired by my Queensland by Rail series to go and do something similar in Queensland, so that's really cool. As for James and Max, well, they will certainly feature in future hikes. They are both keen to get one. I don't know if I said Dylan or Cameron before. Dylan was on the original Malort hike, but he was not on this South Gippsland hike. Cameron was on the South Gippsland hike, but not on the Malort hike. So sorry if I was getting those names confused. Both Cameron and Dylan are welcome to go and come on future hikes. Where's Cameron moved to? ACT, I believe. Although I don't know if he's in ACT at the moment or in Queensland. Stephen says we need to preserve a few common sets. Yes, I agree. Preferably a chopper set. I know that's asking a lot, but I think that would be nice. But at the same time, you can't save everything. And I mean, there's the ongoing saga about the Hitachis, not to mention the Harris. Although Harris are in a bit of a different ball game. Yeah. Roderick Smith says, on one LRRSA hike, we looked at a timber tramway which crossed the VR alignment east of Yarram. The tramway had closed before the VR line was built. Huh. There you go. So, let's get into the photos. I'll start off in Cranbourne, where we started. That's James on the left and that's Les on the right. That's Cameron on the right and Les Senior, otherwise known as Bab, who very kindly dropped us off at Cranbourne Station. So us getting started, first few steps of the hike. And this is the level crossing, the very first level crossing. This is the South Gippsland Highway. Just to the left out of sight is Cranbourne Station, and I think the tracks have been more paved over these days, but apart from that, the tracks are still there. They're technically still just booked out of use. These are all 1 star, we'll skip through them. Our first real bit of track that we're starting out on. And you can, once it loads, yep, you can see the platform shelters of Cranbourne Station. Some track circuitry. Oh, that's a decent photo. You can see the whole of Cranbourne Station with Les, who's lagging behind a bit. Les, as you can see, was quite obese at the time. I think he weighed about 130 kilos, something like that. But he's now lost pretty much all of that weight and is down to 70 or 80 kilos, normal weight for his height. But although he was obese, he still managed to do the whole hike. And at times he was extremely slow. I'm talking like 2 kilometres an hour slow, actual measured speed. Whereas I averaged about 4 kilometres per hour with my pack on. So yeah, I was literally twice as fast as him, and generally during the days, especially towards the end, what would happen is I would walk with him for a bit, for the first, say, hour or so, and then I'd say, righto, see you later, and I would walk ahead, and then I would get into wherever we were camping that night. I held most of the camping gear. I certainly had our whole tent, possibly our stove as well. Yeah, because towards the end of the hike, we had a bit of a system going on where I would walk ahead, I would get to our destination, I would sit down and relax for half an hour or so. Then I'd start setting up camp and start cooking dinner. By that time, Les would have arrived, and Les would go into town and go scout around for a PowerPoint so that we could charge our cameras and stuff. And then he would come back and it would be dinner time and we'd eat, and then we would go to that PowerPoint which he'd found and charge our stuff up and go to bed. So skipping along, some signals. This is all still pretty close to Cranbourne. In fact, this is a better photo. The metro track interface boundary sign. Yeah, there you go. Obtained permission from the signaller at Dandenong before proceeding, and a phone call for the Dandenong signaller. Or Dandenong station, I would say. Whistleboard. A bit of vegetation on the line. First siding. Not sure exactly where that siding led to. Let's just go back to my map and see. I don't think that's it that no. Or is this it? And I've just marked it as... Or is it further? No, that's probably it. I don't know why it's been marked in red. That should be orange, because as far as I know, it's still there. Okay. Bit of map correction while we're at it. Let's go up like this. Perfect. So there you go, that's the location of that siding. What did it serve? Who knows? Oh, okay, so it stops there, but it used to go further, it seems. Whoever has put this in, probably Darren Hodges. I'll leave it as that for now and finish it later. But I don't know what it originally served. Anyway, continuing on. A few sleepers piled up there. Someone should collect them for firewood. Sleepers make excellent firewood. A bridge. I think we found a geocache there. Yeah, that's why. Is it Cameron? I think so. Yeah, that's Cameron. Yeah, there you go. So a geocache, for anyone who doesn't know, it's usually just like in a little plastic tub or something. It's basically just a, how do I describe it? It's a bit like a geocache is a bit like a worldwide treasure hunt. The geocache itself will usually just have a couple of souvenirs, a guest book of some sort, usually, and they are hidden away in various locations. And so you can get the geocache app, which will show you the GPS coordinates of all the geocaches in the world. But then the challenge is that you've got to go to that GPS coordinate and look around the local environment and try and find it. We weren't intending on finding the geocache. I think we'd just stopped at the bridge just to have a bit of a rest, because I believe I believe it was quite a warm day, like in the 30s, and somebody has just spotted that there's a geocache up there. Looking at comments. Vandenbrick says EDI is referring to the Comengers still have Met faces under the front. Indeed they do. And Stephen says, I wish I can go back to steam rail soon. Yeah. Jack says, did Les lose any kilos during the hike? Oh, maybe. But I don't think he measured it. He wasn't really intending on losing weight at that stage. It was more a couple of years later. Jack also says, fun fact, between that signal and Cranbourne Station, Metro still owned that part of the track. Interesting. Right, so that would have been from the Metro interface boundary. And AH137 says it was the Ford New Holland sighting. There you go. Roderick Smith says there were several sand sightings east of Cranbourne. I didn't that any had survived. And Stephen says, I found a geocache at Nimmons Bridge at Smithsdale. Yeah, they're actually quite common once you go look at the geocache map. Like, they're in quite a few places. It's one of those things where, like, I know I would get into it, but I kind of know that I also don't need another hobby. But maybe I should get into geocaching a bit more. Les is just posing for the camera there. Warning, minimum structure clearances applies. Do not adjust track geometry or structure profile. Refer to district engineer. There you go. So what bridge is that? Let's find out. Oh, we need to go. Is it this one? Is that? No, that's certainly not it. So it's after the sighting. It'll be after that. Is that it? No, that's not it. What kind of stuff's in geocache? I mean, it depends on the geocache. It's sort of up to the person who put it there in the first place, and that's the thing. Anyone can create a geocache. Oh, this is probably our bridge. Yep, that's it. Bellardo Road. Out in Clyde by the looks of it. Clyde. So, yeah, but usually it's just like, as I said, a guest book, something to just say, hey, I found it, and you put it back where you found it. Could be some little souvenir that fits in the box. Anything. Oh, someone's built a nice little cubby. Looks like we had another stop to have some snacks. Some track with heat damage. Walking through some grasslands by the looks of it. Here's the thumbnail. Oh, little bridge which is caved in. Cameron looking quite tired. James is also looking rather tired. Les is looking dead. He's alive again though, clearly. So this is all most of the same sort of stuff, just another gate. Some tracks which look like they're in the air a little bit. Yeah, there you go. And then we get to this. Yeah, this was a little bit of a weird section, like all of that. I know it's blurry as hell, but I think that's like blackberry bushes that have been burnt, but only along the rail corridor. So blackberry bushes were a bit of a common theme. Side of the track. There's some roadworks going on. Side of the track. And I think, yeah, at that point, the track was, it was either covered completely in blackberry bushes or it was just getting hard to walk on. And so we switched to this road, which was getting upgraded or something. Because that made for an easier walk. It's all just most of the same stuff. Walking along the road. All right, we're back on the track. Back on track. And looks like there's still a few blackberry bushes, but Les seems to be dealing with them all right. Whoa. Pipeline across this creek river. And let's try and find out where we are now. And what road we'd walked along. I think that it might have been either Railway Road or Piers Road. Probably Piers Road that we were walking alongside. And I would say that the creek that we're crossing over is Tumuk Creek. Well, geez, there's actually like 3 or 4 creeks which we're crossing over all at once. We've got Deep Creek, Tumuk Creek, Lower Gum Scrub Creek, and Cardinia Creek. Wow, there you go. And let's just check while we're here. Down here a bit, we've got McGregor's Drain and Bunyip River. Yeah, wow. So the weather has clearly turned. It was getting it was still warm, but I remember it was definitely getting more and more humid, and there might have been a touch of light rain. Walking across this bridge. Well, we're back on the road. okay, we're back on the track. And there's an echidna there. There you go. I'll mark that a 3. That's probably a 1. Oh, it seems to be getting dark. Oh yeah, geez, I remember this now. Yeah, the first day was a long day, relatively long. I think from memory it was around 24 k's, something like that. And it was getting dark. I mean, this is this is at 7 p.m. 7:11 p.m. and the sun's setting. The date was the 21st of November 2016. Getting darker and darker as we make our way. That was probably the Bunyip River or whatever it was. Make our way into Kirirup. This is the final stretch into Kirirup. The tracks don't exist there. Yeah, that's darkness, and then the next day. And I'll tell you a little story about where we stayed in Kirirup. So Kirirup, Les being a part of the Scouts, he rang up the Kirirup Scouts group and said, hey, look, I'm another fellow Scout. I'm doing a hike. Is there any chance we could stay in the Scout Hall at Kirirup? Because we had searched for a campsite, and let's just say I got bogged looking for a campsite. That's a story for another time. But yeah, we got to, they said, yep, no worries, we can stay in the Scout Hall at Kirirup. Cool. So we got to the Scout Hall at, I mean, what, this is 7:40. And so, yeah, say 7:58 p.m. we got to the Scout Hall, and Les had the number for the local Scout leader. Some of you know where this is going. And we tried to ring them, no answer. Fine, we'll wait a little bit and try again. Ring them again, no answer. And each time it was going to the voicemail and saying, leave a 10-second message and we'll convert it to text. And we thought, no, we don't want to do that. And then half an hour went by, still not picking up. We're going, come on. You knew we were coming. Okay, we're a bit later than expected, but you knew we were coming. Ring, ring, ring. Not picking up. And at that point we had resorted to leaving 10-second messages, and it culminated in the final 10-second message we left, which was, we are cowering in fear at the Scout Hall. And then at that point we rung Les's parents and we're like, because Les's dad is also involved in the Scouts, or was, and so we rang him up and said, hey, look, the lady's not responding to our calls. And they said, are you sure you got the right number? And I said, oh, well, pretty sure, but double check. Wrote it out, 1 digit wrong. So we were like, oh my God, okay. Rang back the original number and left a 10-second message saying, so sorry, our mistake. And yeah, then we rang the actual Scout leader, who picked up first try, once we actually got their correct number and came out and let us into the scout hall, and we told them what had gone on, and they were quite amused. So I think it was about 10 p.m. by the time we actually had dinner served, which was spaghetti. But yeah, fun times. And we were all buggered. It had been a big day. But yeah, Kiwi Rup platform. Everyone's just inspecting it. Not in the best condition. There's a tree growing through the asphalt. Not an uncommon sight at a railway station, an old railway station. It looks like, yeah, it is. What do you call them? A draw line excavator, something like that. I forget what you call them. Somebody can tell me. Drag line, I think. Drag line, yep. A bus for the Christian school. Some tracks showing again. Crossing another creek, which would have been, let's see, this is after Kiwi-Rup. Oh, come on. Yallock Creek. More blackberries. You've really got to hate blackberries. I mean, blackberry, the fruit is nice, but blackberry bushes are the most annoying bushes when you're trying to explore old railway lines, and they're pests, they've taken over. A little bit misty in the morning. What's that, 11:30 a.m? Some cows. Oh, there you go. An old semaphore signal with the lenses removed. A siding by the looks of it. Oh, hello. This is a station. Which can I remember off the top of my head? Is it Lang Lang? I think it's Lang Lang. Yep, another semaphore signal. Yeah, it's Lang Lang. Because now we get to this bridge, which is just after Lang Lang. Let's turn off satellite view because that's internet intensive. Oh, let's just go to that. Oh, that's better. Lang Lang River. And I know why I got photos of the station before I got photos of the creek, or river I should say, even though I should have been walking from that direction. And that's because it had been raining, and actually no, that wasn't the reason. The reason was because of our good friends, the blackberry bush. We had lunch here at Caldermead McDonald's and gotten, I'd say, about here, somewhere around here. And at that point, the blackberry bushes completely covered the line. Surely I've got photos of that. If I go back a bit, maybe not. I think you can sort of just see it in the back of here if it loads. Yeah, you just sort of see the tracks, and then the line got completely covered in blackberry bushes, and we had the option of, do we go through the farms, or do we go back to Caldermead McDonald's and try and order an Uber or something like that. We weren't going to try a taxi. Actually, no, we hadn't had the taxi experience then. But I don't think any taxis or whatever wanted to pick us up anyway. But we'd walked, so we had to sort of turn back, and the other option was walk along the road. I would have been fine with just going in the farmers' paddocks, but some of the others were not. They would have rather walked on the road, and it was sort of like, well, we stick together. And yeah, so that's what we did. We went back there, started walking along the road. I was faster than the rest of them, so I started going along the outbound side of the highway, whereas the others crossed over and went south along the inbound lane. And some kind old couple, lady and a man, pulled up behind me and said, "Hey, is everything all right? Do you want a lift?" And I explained what I was doing, and they said, "Oh, we live in Lang Lang, so that's where we're going. Do you want to jump in? We'll drive you into town." I said, "Sounds great, thank you very much." So I jumped in the car. The rest of the crew thought that I was insane for jumping in a stranger's car, but I was like, it's an old couple, like, come on. And so I got dropped off at Lang Lang, and then they said to me, "Oh, look, would the others like a lift?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm sure they would." And so they said, "Oh, okay, we'll turn around and we'll go pick them up and drop them off." They declined the lift, and I was like, okay. I would have rather gotten a lift than walk along the freeway with trucks and cars passing at 110 k's an hour. Didn't want to get cleaned up by one of them. And yeah, then we just continued walking along. I guess the others continued walking along, and I had set up camp at, or what I could have camped in Lang Lang at the river. If we go back, oh, nice sunset. Looks like Les has arrived by this point and is having a bit of a bathe in the river, because we had some showers available at caravan parks. We stayed at caravan parks where we could, but many nights that just wasn't an option, so we went without a shower. But if there was a river, then I don't think I opted to jump in the river at that stage. I think I was a bit cold, but Les certainly did. Maybe one of the others did. It's taken at 7:30 p.m. That's a bit of a long exposure, 2 seconds. You can see the water flowing down there. It's nice. Experimenting with some more long exposure. It's not bad. But yeah, that's a 6-second exposure. The camera that I've got at the moment can cope a lot better with low light. This was taken on a Canon 70D. But you can see there's our tent set up under the trestle bridge. To this day, that's one of my favourite campsites. It's quite a nice little spot. Some tracks and looking at some comments. Roderick Smith says, you missed seeing any trace of the junction at Strzelecki. Yeah, I hadn't constructed my map or anything at that stage, so although I knew that the Strzelecki line existed, I didn't exactly know where it branched off, and so no, I didn't see any remains of where, or evidence of where it branched off. Having said that, if I went back today, I might be able to spot it. Roderick Smith says, from memory, the best month for having blackberry down is June. I've done 3 hikes through Head Height Blackberry, Strzelecki, Walhalla and Red Hill. No machete, just trampled down with feet. Yeah, we were hiking in November, obviously. A lot of the time we could trample the blackberries down with our feet, but also a lot of the time, well, with particularly the Lang Lang, the blackberry bushes were at least twice as tall as we were. So it really was not a practical idea to just stumple them down. Vandenbrick says, the Floyd gets kidnapped bit. Yes, indeed. What camera do I have now? A Sony A7 Mark III. Albert says, see you all. We'll catch up with the rest of this when the video is posted on YouTube. See you, Albert. It is 10 PM already. Did any of you get sunburnt on the hike? I don't think so. We're all pretty diligent with sunscreen. So I don't think any of us got sunburnt. But I am noticing that the camera is looking a bit yellow. So let me just try and see if I can do something about that. It says auto white balance. Let's just see, that looks worse, that looks worse. Looks even worse, so that's a little bit better. Let's go with this for now. I look a bit washed out now. What about that? Better. That's bad. That's not good. That's not good. The fluoro one seemed to be our best bet, apart from if we can hang on. If I can get like a whoops. I think I did the wrong thing. What am I doing? Bear with me. How do I set it? Oh, there we go, set. Okay. Much better. All right. White balance is set correctly now. Right. This is Nyora, I think. No, it must be Lang Lang still. I thought it was Nyora, but no, it's... Oh no! Geez, did I get like no photos between Lang Lang and Nyora? (6 p.m) Apparently not. I've got very few photos of them. Because I'm pretty sure that's Nyora. Those toilet blocks. I mean, James seems to be wearing the same stuff in this photo, which is definitely Nyora, so... Yeah, we set up camp at the turntable. You can see someone's hat is hung up, someone's jumper. All our clothes were a bit soaked. Got some baked beans cooking and a radio. Got the gas stove, lighting it up. There's James. There you go, there's James. James again. That's in the morning. Yeah, that's another one of my favourite campsites, is the Nyora turntable. We just trampled down the grass and we'd hung up what we could to dry. I think that's someone's shoe there. So I think the baked beans and stuff, that's all in the morning. Yeah. Oh no. No, baked beans is at night. 7:30 p.m. and then 8 a.m. Okay. The wonders of digital photos and their metadata. Yeah, you can, like, that's a great photo of our tent just set up in the middle of the grass. Whole bunch of socks laid out and Cameron just sitting there. I don't think we were in a real rush to get going that morning. In fact, no, we weren't, because 3 of the group were leaving. Les applying some deodorant. Pivot of the turntable. You can just see poking through the grass to some of the tracks. I think what I'm trying to show there is the vaguest of lines. I think it's so hard to tell, but I think the track is about there. And that's Nyora, which I can show you. So I skipped over the glass sidings. Let's go to satellite view. So the turntable is right here. And what I was photographing was this line right here, which goes back to the main yard. More turntable stuff. Some cubby house, it seems. Oh, this is inside the Nyora station building, which has been converted into an op shop. So all sorts of random stuff at the ob shop. The blue sign, obviously, well, not obviously, but it was the signifying that it was the old South Gippsland Tourist Railway, which had gone under. Let's leave that 1 and 0. They had gone under, I think, 2 years before our hike. Showing some sort of transmission, but of what? Is it TV? Don't know. Oh, skate park. I got a funny story from that, and the story was that I was holding my camera, and one of these ramps, not this like steep one, but well, maybe it was a steep one. Anyway, I was just walking up one of those ramps, and I really shouldn't have been trying because I slipped and I fell, and I was holding my camera, and the camera went bang into the concrete. And, you know, this was day 3, and I was like, oh no, if I smash my lens. Thankfully not. I broke the UV filter, which was there to protect the lens. Managed to get it off, just. But yeah, that was a close call. The camera was fine in the end. But after that incident, I switched to using lens hoods as opposed to UV filters for lens protection, because the lens hood, if it breaks, is not going to get stuck on your lens. And plus, they're relatively cheap, cheaper than a UV filter. I think my 70D lenses, I got the cheapest lens hood I could find, and by cheapest I mean $1 off eBay with free shipping. Takes 2 months to get to you because it's obviously coming from China, but hey, if you want it, it's there. Saying goodbye to Cameron in a way that only Les knows how, by fondling his beard and filming him at the same time. V-line bus. Saying goodbye. Skipping through a lot of these photos. That's an alright shot, showing the Naira station sign. Oh yeah. We saw a pool being transported, something you don't see every day. Getting back to some tracks again, somewhere between Nyora and Leongatha. Or Nyora and Karambara, I should say. Dirt road, level crossing, not going to bother looking up where that is. what I was exactly trying to photograph there. A bridge. Oh yes, this is the Bass River Bridge. As you can see, it's quite a tall bridge. It's quite pretty. And the thing was that, that's right, you can fall between, if you misstep, you could fall between the gaps. So yeah, and the sleepers were not in the greatest of condition. So where I could, I walked towards the edge, which is I guess another good tip if you're ever if you ever have to walk across something very dodgy, walk as close to the support as possible. That's a nice shot of Les coming across the bridge. You know, you can't be afraid of heights to cross this because, you know, there's the old saying of don't look down. But if you don't look down, you'll misstep, and that's worse. So you better hope that you're looking down, like I was there. Oh, skipping through, and just lots of photos of the same bridge. God, still more. Alsops Creek. Looks like we're crossing. That looks like the Bass River Bridge. Still. Cows, dairy country. Oh man, those goats. Those goats chased us, and yeah, wasn't in the mood to be chased down by a goat. Very scenic. Yeah, that's Lock Station, L-O-C-K. Very pretty station. I believe the station building at Lock has actually come from Welshpool. In the final operating days of Lock Station under V-Line, it was nowhere near as pretty as this. In fact, I would say it was a pretty ugly station. There was no building. There was no building. There might have been a bit of a bus shelter type thing. The platform was gravel. There wasn't much greenery around at all. But the tourist railway picked up the building from Welshpool, dumped it here, put the Lock sign on it, and created these very nice gardens, which are maintained by the local community group now. Les and I only walked as far as Lock that day because, yeah, we had started late. Even once Cameron and James and Max had all gone, I can't remember exactly why, but I think I'd tried to cook miso soup for breakfast and it had just taken so long and we were tired, and yeah, we were just exhausted at that point. And that's right, and our shoes were soaking wet. If you walk in really damp shoes, then your feet will get blistered very quickly. So we chose not to do that. We both had sandals, which were not the best walking shoes, but would do. So we got as far as Loch, which is, if I show, I might have been trying to photograph before the junction of the Wonthaggi line, but so there's Nyora. And we got as far as Loch here. So not hugely far. I mean, let's just do a quick measurement. It's about 5 or 6 k's. And we got on the bus to Korumburra. All the track's been ripped up through there now. Well, this is, yeah, we had a bit of time to check out the town while we were waiting for the bus. And this cool bridge, this cool suspension bridge is there. So check that out if you're ever in Loch or passing through the area. Can recycling. There's lots of stuff around Loch. So you can actually camp in this area at Loch. It's an honesty box. Camping fees, if you want no power, no shower, $15 a night per car, money in honesty box. Or power, shower, key to rooms, $20 a night per car. Phone, those phone numbers to get keys to the showers. But we weren't stopping in Loch, so we were staying in Korumburra. It's a very pretty area, Loch. Korumburra. 10:22 p.m. local time, as in that's the time right now. And we're at Korumburra. The turntable, obviously. I believe most of Korumburra Yard is still intact. Perhaps slightly more overgrown. Another semaphore signal. Most of the rolling stock has either been scrapped or transferred out. An old metro truck. SGR. Pretty sure all of these wagons here have all been scrapped. Bit of a shame, but oh well. They're GYs and stuff. Nothing that's too great of a loss. You can see the difference between the GY and the, is it an IA or something like that? Do I have a better photo? Showing the coding, maybe not. Whatever, you can tell that some are red and some are yellow. The yellow were grain proof. Because something R, but that doesn't really mean much. These ones were grain proof and also happened to be waterproof. Caringborough is a very nice station. Does that tell me anything? Something G. Oh, it's a panorama. We'll zoom out to 100%. Or try 66, that's better. Panorama of Caringborough in 2016. Looks a bit different today. Oh yes, now that is out the back of the caravan park where we were staying. It's an old railway box van that's been cut up to make a bridge. This is Coal Creek. Coal Creek never had a fancy station like that. I forget where. The station building was taken from somewhere on the Wonthaggi line and transported there. Short W cars, also known as U-type cars. Coal Creek was something that we did on our off day, and there's a K-class with a giant rust hole in its boiler, or at least the cladding. Yeah, Les's parents came down and drove us to Coal Creek, and you can see it's quite the little sidings and lines, proposed extension. Wow. Notice, passengers desiring to join trains at this station are requested to exhibit the red flag in daylight and adjust the red flag and night lamp during darkness. Tickets may be obtained from the guard, who will accept parcels and furnish any information. There you go. And a table of distances. Inside the BW cars, or a BW car I should say. Fairly standard Victorian Railways stuff. 1910s, I think, either 1910s or 1920s. The design definitely originates from the 1900s. Little diesel. haven't seen Will James in the chat tonight, but he did a video of Coal Creek and mentioned how this little tramway stuff is no longer running, or it's just, I don't think it's permanently shut down, but it's certainly not running on a regular basis anymore. But little Hudson Hunslet locomotive with a small carriage. There really wasn't many people around. A few old carts leading into a mine, which has clearly been shut off. Two-foot gauge track, stationary boiler, middle station. I mean, apart from the colour, that's a fairly typical VR station design for a minor stop. They've got a steam locomotive there as well, although that definitely wasn't running on that day. There's the diesel passing by with nobody on the train by the looks of it. Oh no, there's like 2 people. I think I rode it at one stage, but I don't seem to have any photos of it, of me actually riding it. Got photos of it coming by. But yeah, a couple more people there. I must have rode it. Turning triangle, although, well, it's a triangle that you could potentially use for turning, but they've just got it storing, looks like a ballast tipper and a little cart, just typical old tramway, 2-foot gauge stuff. Oh, that almost looks like it's got a winch of some sort. That's definitely a winch, a hand cranked winch. So what would it have been trying to pull up? I'm not sure. That's Laura, Les's sister. Although it's like 200%. I get along well with Laura. Top station with another diesel looking like it's quite out of action. ZL van, looks like the underframe of a ZL, or actually that's a 4-wheeler, so could be just a plain Z, or I mean, they pretty much use the same underframe for 1,000 different wagons. So I'm not sure exactly what that's from. I mean, damn, that's quite an old wagon to be. It's a fairly early bogie. That looks like a fairly old bogie design. And I mean, it's got timber sides, so. Another stationary boiler, big winch. I think that is something... Actually, I got no idea what that's all for. Clearly for pulling up something, but I guess that's a mine. And continuing on our hike. Okay, let's read a few comments. Jack says, fun fact, that passive level crossing in Nyora originally used to have flashing lights, but it was downgraded to passive signage since the track circuits were faulty. That's one way of dealing with it. Hemi says, I'm surprised that old orange Nyora station sign hasn't been knocked off. It might have been by now, I don't know. And Roderick says, the two bridges are very close. The railway was engineered to follow Alsop's Creek to the summit. Okay. Yes, the bridge. RY, there you go. For the wagon before. K190? No, not K190. It's a different K though. I'd have to go, I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it was before. You can go back and see. She's got a bent combination lever rod in the fireman side. Oh yeah. Still in very good condition considering. Yes, but also we've got like how many K classes in working order, and we've got another couple under restoration. I don't think we need another K class. Strathlucky Junction is also listed at Silkstone Junction, famous for having a 1 in 30 drop on one branch and a 1 in 30 climb on the other. There you go. Steph says, I've ridden on that tramway. That's very cool. Trainman says, g'day guys, pretty cool photos you got here, Floyd. Randenbrick says, little 2-foot loco's cute. Hi, Trainman. VR being resourceful as always, indeed. At 22:34, says Roderick, this seems to be a logical break point and resume in 2 weeks. Maybe. Because, I mean, we're a bit over halfway. I'll put it to you guys. What do you think? Should I break now and resume in 2 weeks' time where we show the rest of the photos, or do you want to keep going and see them all tonight? I'll keep reading comments in the meantime. It's 169, says Stephen. Yep, there you go. As Van Wyk says, we don't need another K, but another R would be nice. Again, nice, but even so, we've got 3 operational Rs. And we've got R700, which is not unrestorable, and I forget which other R707 cannibalizers. That's not unrestorable either. So we've got at least another 2 Rs there, and then there might be another 1 or 2 hanging around that I've forgotten about. Oh, well, yeah, okay. R766 is operatable in New South Wales. That's true. I'd forgotten about that. But even so, in Victoria, 3 Rs is good enough for most of the time. Got 2 votes for keep going. 707 Ops says R753. There you go. Any more opinions about whether we should keep going or break for 2 weeks? I mean, let's see, how much have we got to go? So we're here. We've got a fair bit still to go. But there is this gigantic block of photos that I don't need to show all of them. We're currently even. Oh, looks like Van and Bricks has just tipped the scale to say break for 2 weeks. So, unless I get any more responses within the next minute, I say we break for 2 weeks. So we're at 10:40 p.m. It would probably be at least 11:30 by the time we finished. At least. Another vote for 2 weeks. All right, that's what we're doing. Last comment, 700 to be restored, 704 permanent static, 707, 711, 761 and 766 operatable, 753 parts flipping dead. Yeah. Although, I mean, of course, with enough money, anything is restorable, but yes, I do agree with you that 700 has a better chance of being restored than 753. And 761 is due for a major overhaul soon. Indeed it is. I think they can get by on with just the 1R, especially now that they've got the A2. I mean, the only train that they steam rail run which really requires 2 Rs is the snow train. But yeah, they can cope. I think they can cope with an R and an A2. Little glimpse of my uni work there. Okay. In that case, I will end it here. I will see you all in 2 weeks' time, where we'll go for part 3. We'll finish off the South Gippsland line. I will not go for a part 4 showing my day hikes. I was potentially going to offer that as a part 3, but nope. South Gippsland will be part 3. And then in 4 weeks' time, we'll move on to something else. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching, and see you in 2 weeks' time. I'm hoping to put out a rail for the Gunzels video on this Sunday. I know I said I would do it 2 weeks ago, and I didn't. Yep. Maybe you'll see it, maybe you won't. Wait and see. Bye-bye.